Hi guys, I'm Tiago and this is Photography Talk. You might have noticed the little change of scenery. I was kind of bored of my office slash working space, so I just moved to my bed and everything else. Just a little change of scenery for you guys don't get bored of seeing the same old stuff over and over again. So I just got back from a real estate photography shoot I have to do. And I started to think, why not do a hints and tips video on this, on real estate photography, on interior photography, on business photography, on presenting yourself to your clients, etc. So here we go. So first things off, if you're going to do interior or real estate photography, technically you'll need one thing that's very important, is a wide angle lens. This will allow you to get more information on your frame, and that will really help out people to see the size of the house, the size of the rooms, etc. Don't go too wide, because then you'll get a lot of distortion on your corners, on your lines won't be straight. So if you have a 17 or an 18, I find that more than enough for me for the type of work I do. Even for small bathrooms, that's more than enough. You don't need to go lower than that. 17 is on a full frame body, of course. And 17 is more than enough. In terms of cameras, I think any camera will do. If it's a full frame, it'll be easier to get those wide angle lenses to work in your favor, so that would be better. But if you have a cropped sensor camera, you'll still have some good wide angle choices out there, not only from Nikon and Canon, but from Sigma and Tokina, for example, that has a great variety of wide angle lenses for cropped sensors. So I think that in terms of technical or hardware aspects, that's it, because you won't need anything else. When you're starting off, maybe a tripod is a good idea, so your images will keep aligned and you won't have any problems with the images not being straight and be a little bit crooked. I don't use a tripod anymore because I've been doing this for 6 years, 7 years. Yeah, I've been doing this for 6-7 years, so I've kind of grown tired of using my tripod, because most of the places I go to are very small and I don't have a lot of space to use my tripod. So I just took the tripod out and said, okay, let's try to focus on getting my images not crooked and being straight, and with time I just got used to it and I don't use a tripod anymore. But if you're starting out, maybe it's a good idea to take your tripod, take a little more time, place your tripod, steady your camera and shoot. Now into another technical thing that's kind of been blooming is the HDR. I personally see a lot of good use in HDR, but I don't use it myself when I'm doing real estate or interior photography. Why? Because I have my flashes, and my flashes do all the compensation I need to get a good exposure on the windows or any source of light, and my camera, I do the rest. My camera helps, of course. What I'm saying is, HDR comes in handy in some situations, but don't overdo it, because I think it tires the eye and the images don't come out that realistic. I've been able to do some commercial work in interior photography with HDR that looks perfectly natural, but I think that when you're using a light source and you're giving the correct exposure, the images turn out always more natural, because it's just what you see. HDR really manipulates what you're able to see. Basically, the HDR gives you a lamp that isn't blown out like this one will probably be, and a dark area like the screen of my computer isn't totally black, for example. I think what you and I see with our eyes is reality, and that's what you need to transmit in your photos, in your report about that house. You don't want to make it look strange or plastic. That's one of the main reasons I don't use HDR, because all the images turn out looking a bit false and a bit plastic, more like CGI or something like that, and I don't like that. So I just keep it simple, use my flash for lighting up my spaces, keep my exposure close to the exposure on outside. For example, I keep it a bit higher because I don't need all that detail outside. I don't need all that detail on the windows because my main focus is inside. So use your flash, do some HDR stuff if you really want to experiment and test out if that works out for you. Next thing is actually going to a place and shoot. Well, first of all, if you're going to do if you're going to start out doing interior photography or real estate photography, the best way is to practice with your own house. Start out by imagining yourself entering a house for the first time. Grab your camera, grab your gear, and enter your house and just start shooting. Shoot your living room, shoot your bathrooms, your kitchen, everything. And then put it into the computer and look at it. Tell yourself, would I buy this house? That will depend if you have a good eye, and if you know your house, probably you'll get some good shots because you know your house. You know what the best angles to photograph your house are. So most of the times when you're going to a new place in real estate, for example, I see the house for the first time I'm going there. So I'm not living there, I don't know what the best angles are. So that's why you need to go to your house and practice, practice, and practice, because that will be the best way for you to in just a split second see, okay, this is the best angle to photograph my room, or maybe this is the best angle to photograph my room. You'll have to make those decisions in a split second, because I take around half an hour. Yeah, sometimes even less. When the house is small, I take around 15 minutes to do a kitchen, the living room, bedroom, and a bathroom. I take around 15 minutes to do that because I already know my camera, I know what my settings are going to be, etc. So that's why I'm working very fast. But don't be embarrassed if you have to take a little more time. When I started out, I took an hour to photograph a house with 2 bedrooms and everything like that. I took an hour, and now looking back to that, I say, wow, why did I take so long? Because I've gotten used to my workflow, the speed. I've been knowing my camera. I had a different camera back then. I was starting out in photography, so I took a little more time to get used to all the controls and everything. So start out slow. Don't be afraid to take a little more time for your images to be good, not good, but excellent when they're on the camera, because most of the times the work I do, I just download it to the computer, convert it to JPEG, and I take it to my client, and it's done. I don't need any Photoshop or anything like that. By the way, I use Lightroom. I don't use Photoshop at all. So sometimes the little adjustments I have to do is just a little bit of fill light, or correct my exposure a little bit, or give a little more details with recovery or the highlights meter for my windows, for example. But it's always just small little details. I don't ever change my images completely. So try to get the images you want while you're at the house, because if the images don't turn out good, sometimes you won't get a second opportunity to go there and shoot it again. So keep that in mind, and try to do your best when you're at the house. When you're actually there, take a little more time. Don't be embarrassed. Probably if you're working with a real estate agent, he'll be with the client in another division, so you have your time, your space just to go in there, see if everything is okay, place your tripod, take your time, and just let things flow at the speed you need them to flow.